You know that feeling when you're walking down a staircase in the dark and you are just absolutely certain there's like one more step.
Oh, yeah. The phantom step.
Right. Your brain has completely convinced you of this reality that just isn't there. You've built an entire mental model in a fraction of a second.
And you're bracing for impact.
Exactly. But instead, your foot just hits empty air and you get that split second of free fall and your heart just stops.
It's terrifying. Reality just violently disagrees with you.
Yeah, and most of the time, our brain's predictive software works beautifully.
Yeah.
But when an author deliberately hacks that software to pull the rug out from under you, it's incredible.
It really is. It creates this sudden, jarring drop into a totally unexpected reality.
Which is exactly what we're looking at in today's deep dive. So, for you listening right now, we have a highly unusual mission today.
A very short mission, actually.
Right. We are unpacking a micro-story titled The Ultimate Scrabble Betrayal. And I mean, it is only 2 sentences long.
Barely 30 words.
But it packs the dramatic weight of an entire psychological thriller into those few words. So I'm going to read it for you right now exactly as it's written. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay, here it is. Sarah found the letters her husband Amos had been hiding, thus proving he was cheating on her. She vowed to never play Scrabble with him again.
Wow. The whiplash on that is just palpable.
It's so good, right?
It's a total masterclass in the economy of language. 2 sentences that somehow encompass love, deception, discovery, and a highly specific form of retribution.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first thing that happens here is that the author just completely manipulates our expectations.
Oh, absolutely. Right from the jump.
Like, in that first sentence, when we hear the phrase found the letters right next to cheating on her, our minds instantly jump to marital infidelity.
We can't help it.
Right. We immediately picture these illicit, perfumed envelopes hidden away in a shoebox or something.
Yeah.
It's a total literary bait and switch.
That's a great way to put it. The author is really relying heavily on our cultural schemas there. Wait, schemas? Like mental scripts.
Exactly. It's the scripts we all implicitly share about what certain words mean when they show up together. Words don't exist in a vacuum.
Right, they have context.
Yeah, they have statistical probabilities of appearing together. So words like husband, hiding, letters, and cheating all grouped together.
It just screams romance novel or soap opera.
Precisely. In literature, television, gossip, that specific cluster of words points almost exclusively to a romantic affair. Your brain does the math before you even finish the sentence.
It's basically no different than a magician making you stare really intensely at their left hand while their right hand is doing the actual trick.
A perfect analogy. They feed you all the contextual clues of a romantic betrayal.
So the punchline hits you like a freight train. You think you're settling in for a tragic domestic drama, and boom, suddenly you're in the middle of a board game dispute.
What's fascinating here is the sheer elegance of the double entendre.
I mean, no lies were actually told, right? Not a single one. The vocabulary applies perfectly to both scenarios. Like, consider the word letters. In an affair, they're physical documents of love.
And in Scrabble, they're the literal wooden tiles you put on the board.
Exactly. And the word cheating applies equally to violating your marriage vows and just breaking the rules of a parlor game.
It's brilliant. The author elevates a totally mundane activity, like a Tuesday night game of Scrabble, into this life-or-death crisis entirely through overlapping definitions.
It relies on a structural trick called a paraprosdokian.
A para what?
Paraprosdokian. It's a figure of speech where the second half of a phrase unexpectedly shifts the context of what came before it.
Oh, like how comedians set up a joke.
Exactly like that. You establish a premise, lead the brain down a predictable pathway, and then force a sudden detour.
But here, the author isn't just going for a cheap laugh.
No, not at all. It establishes a deeply specific, slightly unsettling dynamic between Amos and Sarah.
And that structural trick is exactly what makes the actual crime here so fascinating to me. Because once you recover from the joke, you have to look at what Amos actually did.
Right, the reality of his actions.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting. I want to zero in on the phrase, had been hiding. That changes everything for me.
It does imply something much darker.
It really does. Because this wasn't an accidental glance at the tile bag. This wasn't him noticing an extra E on the table and quietly sliding it over.
No, he had been hiding them.
Right, which implies an ongoing, premeditated effort. I really have to push back on anyone who hears this and thinks, oh, it's just a board game, it's not a big deal.
You're right to push back. It implies a true strategy of deception.
Think about the physical mechanics of it. Hiding Scrabble letters requires forethought. You have to physically palm a wooden tile.
And hold on to it.
Yeah, you have to maybe slip a high-value Z or Q into your pocket while your wife is getting a glass of water, and then covertly reintroduce it later.
When you desperately need that triple word score.
Exactly. That takes physical action and sustained intent over, like, a 45-minute game. It's less like forgetting to pay a bill and way more like actively embezzling funds from your own company.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are really talking about the concept of the magic circle in game theory.
The magic circle. That sounds a bit esoteric for a Tuesday night board game in the suburbs. How does that work?
Well, the term was popularized by a cultural historian named Johann Huizinga back in the 1930s. He argued that play is a primary formative element in human culture.
Okay, so it's a foundational thing.
Very. The idea is that when we sit down to play a game, whether it's Scrabble at a kitchen table or football in a huge stadium, we enter a temporary shared reality.
Oh, I see. We step inside this invisible boundary.
Exactly, the magic circle. And inside that circle, there are special artificial rules that don't apply to the real world.
But for the game, we agree to treat them as absolute law.
We mutually suspend reality to participate in this shared fiction.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, handing someone a piece of pink paper in Monopoly means they owe you rent.
Right, even though that paper is worthless outside the game.
But we both have to actively believe in the pink paper for the game to function at all.
Exactly. The magic circle only exists because of mutual trust. All players have to buy into the social contract.
So when Amos cheats at Scrabble, he isn't just breaking a rule in a Hasbro manual.
No, he is actively shattering the foundation of trust that makes the activity possible in the first place.
Wow. He's looking at his spouse, sitting across the table inside that circle, and secretly manipulating the fabric of their shared reality just to get a higher score.
It takes the story from a quirky linguistic joke to a genuine character flaw.
It really does. He's sitting right across from his wife, making eye contact, smiling, asking if it's his turn, all while having a J and an X burning a hole in his pocket.
It requires a severe compartmentalization of ethics.
I know we're overanalyzing a 28-word story, but that requires a very comfortable relationship with lying right to your partner's face.
It really does, and you have to wonder what drives someone to do that. Usually, it's an issue of ego preservation.
Because Scrabble is about vocabulary and intellect.
Exactly. The cheating feels distinctly personal. It's not random chance like Candyland. Amos wants to appear smarter and more dominant in this intellectual arena than he actually is.
And he's willing to manufacture that illusion through deceit against his own wife.
The stakes of the game are low, but the stakes for his ego are incredibly high.
But isn't that just profoundly cowardly? Like, if you want to appear smarter, just read a dictionary, study the two-letter words.
It is cowardly, but it's really about control.
Control. Because he bypasses the actual effort and rigs the system.
By controlling the tiles, he guarantees his intellectual superiority without having to earn it. He values the hollow victory over his integrity with Sarah.
So what does this all mean for Sarah? Because we've established Amos committed this methodical embezzlement. He shattered the magic circle.
Right, he broke the fundamental trust.
And the narrative flows right into her reaction in the final sentence. And this is the part I find myself obsessing over. Think about what she didn't do.
She didn't blow up her life.
Exactly. She didn't pack her bags. She didn't divorce him. She didn't scream or throw his clothes on the lawn. Let me read the phrasing again. She vowed to never play Scrabble with him again.
That is the entirety of her response.
That's it.
It is remarkably contained. And the author's choice of the word vowed is just brilliant.
Because the vow is so serious, right?
Yes, it's a sacred declaration typically associated with marriage. We take wedding vows. Amos was cheating, essentially breaking the spirit of a marital vow.
And Sarah responds with a new vow of her own.
Yeah.
But it's localized entirely to a board game.
This raises an important question about the nature of boundary setting and, honestly, cognitive dissonance in long-term relationships.
Yeah, I have to wonder if this compartmentalization is actually healthy boundary setting, or is she just burying her head in the sand?
What she's doing here is establishing an absolute rigid boundary. The text uses the word never.
Not like she took a break from playing.
Or she insisted on patting down his pockets. It's never. That is a word with total finality. She is shutting down that specific vulnerability permanently.
Going back to the embezzlement analogy, she basically audited the relationship, found a fraudulent account, and just froze those specific assets.
But left the rest of the bank open for business.
Exactly. But does that actually work in real human psychology? Can you really freeze an emotional account like that without the toxic assets bleeding into the rest of the marriage?
That is the tension the author purposefully leaves us with.
Because, I mean, if I caught my partner lying so methodically, sitting down to watch TV with them the next night would require massive cognitive dissonance.
You'd always be wondering.
I'd be looking at Amos loading the dishwasher,
Yeah.
wondering if he was secretly hiding the good forks just to mess with me.
Right. Well, in clinical psychology, healthy boundaries are meant to protect you from harm, while ideally preserving the relationship itself.
So you don't burn down the house just
Ah.
because one room has a draft.
Exactly. You simply close the door to that room. Sarah recognizes the magic circle around Scrabble is irreversibly broken. Amos proved he can't be trusted with the tiles.
So to protect herself, she eliminates the trigger entirely.
But you're right to question it. Is it truly healthy?
I'm really not sure I buy that it is. It feels like an act of denial dressed up as a boundary, you know?
It avoids the bigger issue.
Yeah. By focusing all her outrage on the hyper-specific context of Scrabble, she conveniently avoids the much larger, much more painful conversation about his core character.
Banning a game is easy.
Confronting the fact that your husband is fundamentally untrustworthy is devastating.
You're identifying the core vulnerability of her strategy. Can deceit truly be quarantined?
I don't think so. Human behavior isn't compartmentalized that neatly.
If someone is willing to systematically cheat their spouse at a board game for the petty thrill of a meaningless victory, the underlying mechanism of betrayal is there.
The willingness to deceive an intimate partner for personal gain is active and present.
Exactly. The author gives the reader a momentary sense of relief by substituting a grand betrayal for a petty game infraction.
But when you look closely at the premeditation, the relief evaporates. The mechanism of deceit is identical. What's stopping him from cheating on their taxes? Or lying about their finances? Or, ironically enough, engaging in the very marital infidelity the first sentence tricked us into believing in?
It really makes you realize how much weight simple interactions carry.
It does. We started with a punchy little linguistic joke, and now we're questioning the very foundations of their marriage.
It highlights how the seemingly trivial, low-stakes environments in our lives are often the clearest windows into our core operating principles.
Because the guardrails are down.
Right. When the stakes are low, our true relationship with rules, fairness, and the people across from us is laid bare. We don't have grand societal pressures keeping us in check.
We just have our own internal compass,
Mm-hmm.
and Amos's compass points toward deceit.
Unfortunately, yes.
So for you listening to this right now, this is where we want to bring it out of the story and into the real world.
Reflect on your own life.
Yeah, think about your own relationships. What are the unspoken contracts of trust that you have with your loved ones? Think about your game nights, your trivia outings, those everyday activities.
How much of our true character is revealed in those moments?
Do you have an Amos in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you the Amos? How much of your integrity is tested in how you handle a little rack of wooden tiles?
Building right on that thought, I will leave you with one final thread to pull on.
Oh, lay it on us.
We've talked extensively about the physical and mental effort required for Amos to hide those letters and Sarah's highly precise boundary around that specific act.
Right.
But consider the reality of his behavior. If Amos was willing to methodically and systematically hide physical objects in a game built entirely on transparency, what else might he be hiding in plain sight?
Oh, wow.
And is Sarah's hyper-localized boundary of banning a single board game genuinely enough to protect her life from his underlying deceptive tendencies?
That is a haunting thought to end on. It brings us right back to that staircase in the dark.
The Phantom Step.
Sarah thought she found solid ground by simply removing the game, but she might still be stepping into empty air.
A chilling possibility.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this custom deep dive today. Unpacking this with you has been incredibly fun.
It's been a great conversation.
It's just a brilliant reminder that you don't always need a 500-page novel to explore the complexities of human trust. Sometimes the deepest, most unsettling insights come from the shortest stories. So keep questioning the stairs beneath your feet, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.